Well, some time t, it's gonna travel that far, so this is just half that, this is 1/2 times dt. So my hypotenuse is the square root of h squared plus 1/4 v squared t squared. Pythagorean theorem. And so this is 2, because it goes up and back, times the square root of h squared plus divided by time. In the second case, what is the speed?
Are we assuming the box is just sitting there?
Yeah, in the box frame, the box is not moving, everything else is.
Then the speed is 0.
The speed of the light.
Oh. T sub p?
That would be the time. What distance does it travel?
H. H, yeah, 2h, because it goes up and back.
So we're making the claim that these two things are equal to each other. So we can get rid of, oh,
T.
sorry, t sub p.
You can get rid of T.
Say it again?
You can get rid of T.
I hope so. Let's get rid of that pesky radical. Square both sides. So what I have now is h squared plus 1/4 v squared t squared over t squared is equal to h squared over tp squared. Actually, sorry, I want to go down a different route on this one. I want to solve for h and plug into there. We're not going to quite get rid of the 2 yet. So what is h equal to from this point of view?
C times T sub p over 2.
I'm going to plug that into this equation, and so I end up with 2 times the square root of 1/4 c squared tp squared plus 1/4 v squared t squared over t.
Where's our 2 come in? Didn't you say? Because h is equal to ctp over 2.
Right, so I plug that, so I square it. This is h squared right here.
Right. Oh, and then that wouldn't. Okay, I see. Never mind. I was confused.
Right. That's equal to c over there, so I'm going to just multiply both sides by t. Let's get rid of the fraction part, at least for now. So I end up with ct equals the square root of 2 times the square root of that. Square both sides, so I get c squared t squared is equal to 4 times 1/4 c squared tp squared plus 1/4 v squared t squared. Distribute the 4, that goes away now. So c squared t squared equals c squared tp squared plus v squared t squared. At this point, it comes down to what is the form that we really want, and I want a relationship between the 2 times ultimately. So I'm going to solve for, I'm going to bring the t squareds together. So c squared t squared minus v squared t squared is equal to c squared tp squared. I'm going to factor out the t squared, so I get c squared minus v squared times t squared equals c squared tp squared. Because of, I know what the final form is supposed to be, I'm going to divide by c squared. So I get tp squared. And over here I get 1 minus v squared over c squared times t squared. And then I get t squared equals tp squared over 1 minus v squared over c squared. Taking that over there. And then I take the square root of both sides. I don't have to worry about the pesky plus or minus here when you take a square root, because negative time really doesn't make sense here. So I'm left with t is equal to tp over the square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared. And there's no. This is the equation for time dilation.
And what does time dilation mean?
The fact that time gets bigger if you're not in the proper frame, and P stands for proper. The proper frame is the frame at rest. So in the box frame was the proper frame because the box wasn't moving. Sometimes called the rest frame. When you take a mass and you put it on the balance, and you're finding the mass, and it's sitting there, right there relative to you, it's going 0, the mass is the proper mass or the rest mass. If you wanted to find a mass of an object and it's traveling near the speed of light, the mass that you're going to measure is not the proper mass, because it is not at rest relative to you. This v squared over c, this v over c shows up enough in relativity that it's given its own symbol, beta. So my equation there now becomes t is equal to tp, that square should not be there, over the square root of 1 minus beta squared. And this 1 over the square root of 1 minus beta squared shows up so much that 1 over the square root of 1 minus beta squared is equal to gamma. This is known as the Lorentz factor. And so our equation reduces down to t is equal to gamma tp. This Lorentz factor is the ratio of the times. Let's give an idea of if beta is equal to 0.5. In other words, if an object's traveling at half the speed of light, then gamma, 1 over the square root of 1 minus beta squared, which is 0.25, which is 1 over the square root of 0.75, which is something. Units?
This is a gamma, which is
Go ahead and say it. You're probably thinking it, but don't believe you're right.
I have no idea.
I was gonna say seconds, because all we have in the other part of the equation is time.
Yeah, but the time's taking care of itself. If that's seconds and that's in seconds, what is gamma?
Unitless?
Unitless. There are no units. So what this is saying is that if you came to school at half the speed of light, it's all thought experiments here. So if you come to school at half the speed of light, people around you will age 15% more than you will. Biologically, they will age more than you will if you're traveling at that speed.
What does the Lorentz factor, and you just gave an example, but what is the Lorentz factor?
It is the ratio between proper quantities and improper. That's what. It's a factor that shows up a lot when you're comparing proper and non-proper. Now, if you drive to school at 60 miles per hour versus 30 miles per hour, you also will age less. But it's so insignificant, we don't worry about that. The only place that I know, of which I know, where we actually have to take this into account for things that are generally not considered relativistic speeds, GPS satellites. If you don't take relativity into account, GPS satellites get off by about like 30 feet a day. So, that's the place where it matters. We've obviously just touched on this. There is some experimental evidence for this, which shows up, this is 1905, Einstein does this. 35 years later, there's the first experimental evidence that this is true. But the clock is not our friend. So two things. One, is this any of your handwriting?
No.
Okay, all right. It was a miscellaneous paper that I don't think is associated with anything. All right. The other thing is we finished all the material for that multiple choice test you took at the very beginning. When do you want to do that?
We're taking it again?
Pardon?
We're taking it again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
take it.
This time's for a grade.
Okay.
Well, we only have 2 Wednesdays left.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Shouldn't need the
it takes
full class.
45 minutes.
Yeah,
Sweet.
right. That's not good.
Okay.
I would say next class, but are we doing the lab next class?
No, we don't, the timing's not working out.
So we're not doing any more labs.
No, I didn't say that, but probably, I might take one day to do the relativity. Activity is probably a better word than lab.
Do you wanna do that this Wednesday?
As, in 2 days, I'm fine with that.
I think that'd be more comfortable if we have to submit something for it than doing it next week.
Any objection?
No, I agree. So
What's-
maybe take the test Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, what else is to be turned in?
Yeah,
What other
it's-
things are we getting?
All right, so, well, you've got the multiple choice test, which I'm hearing you're good with Wednesday.
Wait,
Friday?
that's a Friday.
Oh, multiple choice on Friday, okay. So multiple choice on Friday. And then you've got the regular test the following week.
Did we say when that was?
Generally, it'd be on Wednesdays. We could also do the multiple choice Friday of next week. The last day.
I'd rather do,
Yeah.
I'd rather do it the last day.
Yeah, me too.
Because I mean, I feel like that's just the final exam. I mean, there's no test corrections on that one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's the final test.
Right, plus it would give us more lecture time before our last exam, which we might need.
All right,
So we're taking test number 4 before test number 3.
yes.
But test number 4 is basically just encompassing everything anyway.
Well, test number 4, that's the one with the calculator, that's for Wednesday of next week. That will be magnetism onwards.
Yeah. But the last one is basically just the final exam anyway, like it covers
Oh,
everything.
the
That's
multiple
what I mean.
choice does cover pretty much everything up till,
Yeah. So that's basically like a
Today.
cumulative.
Part of me doesn't want to take one test Wednesday and then take another test Friday. But maybe that's just me.
I feel like the multiple choice is gonna be pretty easy, as long as we know like the charge moves this way. Like I feel like it's basic concepts.
there's no calculator involved in the multiple
Right,
choice.
so I don't feel too bad
Yeah, I
about
don't
it.
feel too bad about doing like that.
Does anyone else agree with Brooke? Like I hear you.
Not trying to take it away from you,
No.
because I understand what you're saying completely.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead and take it away from her.
No.
I mean, we're gonna be exhausted. The test on Wednesday is gonna be a
It's
monster,
gonna be
and
a
we know
monster.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal.
Right, so it's like, do we want to take the multiple choice after that? Or are you just like, whatever?
Well,
What
like,
would we
I'm
do-
kind of, yeah.
What would we do on Friday if we didn't have anything?
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Probably go through the materials so that we don't all fail that last exam.
I mean, do we have any more quizzes or master sets?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
do
question.
Probably not.
I'm not gonna lie.
More time to work on my.
I don't need any more.
Yeah, the idea that we have 2 weeks left is just still not quite set in yet.
It's-
Yes,
it hasn't
I know.
hit me either.
I don't think homework and a master set is gonna be so much work. Cause it's gonna be a lot to study for this next 2 exams.
All right. So what I'm hearing is, despite your concerns, and if we need to work out something different for you, Brooke, then we should talk, but. So next week, Wednesday, is the last calculator test, magnetism onwards, and then the following Friday, it's the multiple choice thing that you did at the beginning.
In
32
test
questions.
four, the one with the calculator does not have test corrections, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And again, I had a class that talked me into doing test corrections for the last test. It did not make a whit of difference at that point.
I was
The
gonna
previous
say-
test corrections did, but the test corrections on the third test at that point, it was pretty well set in.
Okay.
So the
it
people
really
who did it
wind
were the
up-
ones who didn't really need to do it.
Okay, so like the fourth test probably won't, like, it's gonna impact your grade, but it's not gonna, like, the test corrections are not gonna help that much.
Right.
I know I flunked that test last semester and
We
it didn't
all
affect my grade, like, I think my grade went up, so I was like, yes.
Okay.
Such a hard.
That makes me feel good.
All right? Again, not saying that the last test does not affect your grade, it's just the test corrections on the last test.
Right.
Did not affect the grades of that one class I did it with.
Okay, so yeah, this just didn't.
All right. Be safe. Enjoy your ride through life. And remember, the faster you go,
Sorry, Brooke.
the less you ate.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry.
I might ask if I could take the multiple choice test on Friday, unless something
As
I
in
missed like valuable questions.
Friday of this week?
Yeah, cause I don't know,
Go for it.
part of me, I just don't know why, but I don't want to do it on the last day.